We have a gentleman who came to us a little late today, but would like to speak for a moment. His name is Mr. John Fitzgerald. He's running for Congress. Sir, if you'd like to come up for a second.
Sure. Right on, John.
All right.
Raise this a little bit. Thanks. That's fine. I've had worse. Thank you for letting me speak for a few minutes here. My name is John Fitzgerald. I'm running for Congress in District 7 against a man I've always voted for, and I'm a Democrat, against George Miller. And I'm running because I feel like our elected officials aren't representing us well right now, and I truly believe there are two principles that are greatly lacking, and that's truth and responsibility. I come out here all the time. I've been out here several times at events like this, and I watch that number up on that hill climb. And I don't see anybody in Congress, anybody who's supposed to be representing we, the people, speaking to why these crosses are up on this hill. I honor everybody who went in there, and that's Iraq and Afghanistan, for what they thought was the right reason, and they gave their lives for it. And the untold people with injuries that are coming back, people with mental problems, emotional problems, people with brain injuries that are going to cost $37 million per soldier for their lifetime. Nobody seems to speak about those people. And the untold numbers of people abroad who are dying. We destroyed their infrastructure. We destroyed their families. We destroyed their lives. And we continue to do so for what we are told a war on terror. A war on words. How do you ever win a war on terror? How do you win a war? I challenge Mr. George Miller, and I challenge everybody else in Congress right now to hold George Bush and Cheney responsible for the death of all these people that died on this hillside. Why did not we have hearings? Why didn't we have accountability? Why don't we have transparency to this day? There is no statute of limitations on war crimes. These people who give up their lives deserve that. We, as United States citizens and citizens of the world, should demand that and ask our elected representatives to do the right thing. I'm a very passionate person, but more so, I'm a very compassionate person. And I have two little kids, and I get emotional. When I heard Laura sing that song tonight, it hits me. I can't imagine holding my child who's died in my arms, or dying in my arms, because a bomb was dropped on their house and they did nothing wrong. So many people are suffering. So many of these families are suffering now, losing their loved ones. And those poor people abroad who have lost their loved ones are suffering. And I voted for President Obama. I'm a Democrat, as I said, and I'm not a happy Democrat. And I think there are a lot of unhappy Democrats out there. We spend $950 billion a year on weaponry, on our Defense Department. $950 billion a year. What do we spend on the VA veterans that come back with these horrible injuries? What do we do for those people? Not enough. We have a $70 billion War Appropriations Act right now going towards these wars, continue this war effort. What about our veterans? What about us? And the gentleman that came up here and fought valiantly in Iraq who got injured, he spoke to it. Why don't we have single-payer health care? I'll tell you why. I look at Channel 5, I look at Channel 7 here, and I'm sorry, but you go back to Channel 5 and Channel 7, those people that represent you, that are putting out the news. 90% of our news is owned by 5 corporations. Tied to what? We all know. I'm going to name them. Insurance, the banking systems, weaponry making, nuclear energy. I'm missing one, but I'll get it here in a second.
Oil.
And oil, my gosh, how can I forget oil? Oil. Let's hold them accountable. We're not hearing the entire truth. And that's why only about 90% of the people now are going to the internet, 10% go to the news stations because they know they're not getting the truth. People in other countries know more about our country and what's going on than we do, and that is wrong. And that's not the country that I grew up in, that I love, and I love this country more than or equal to anybody, and nobody's going to ever get to challenge me on that. I love this country, and I want a better country for my children and my grandchildren and your grandchildren. So let's speak up. Let's take on the news agencies, take on our elected officials, and take on everybody that represents what these poor people died for, who aren't honoring them by continuing these wars. Somebody's got to tell the truth. And I want your vote, please. And I didn't come up here for this reason, but I'm going to change that. If I get in, I'm going to change that. I'm going to demand we have hearings. I'm going to stop appropriating war, appropriating money for wars. Somebody's got to do it, and it's going to start right now with people like us running and getting in every district in this country. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Right on, John.
Woo!
Yeah, baby.
Okay, guys, let's give the band back.